Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian Stroud, a postgraduate researcher in urban ecology at the University of Leeds. My work focuses on urban freshwater restoration, but I'm also really interested in the social and pedagogical dimensions of plant biology and botany. This was co-written with Dr. Jonathan Mishley. He is an associate professor of field biology, field botany at the University of Reading, and an all-round botanical expert. And so today I'm really interested in talking to you about Botanical University Challenge. How can Buck help address the lack of field skills provision in higher education? I should mention we've been really extensively supported by the BSBI, and we're very pleased to be sharing our mission and message with you today. Many of us who have taught plant identification will be familiar with the concept we're about to introduce to you. But what is it I'm showing you here? This is the green curtain. And that's something that many of our students will be confronted with when they first come to learn about plant identification and plant ecology. It is that idea that actually, when we are met with a community of plants, our visual and kind of cognitive processes filter and screen a lot of that information out, and you have to be taught to identify plants. You have to learn how to differentiate and see them, and that's something that's not necessarily innate in people, even though we do have really fantastic pattern recognition processes. The green curtain also equates to what we previously used to call plant blindness, and that is the inability to notice or see plants in the environment, the failure to recognise the importance of plants in the biosphere and human affairs, the failure to see, notice, or pay attention to plants in one's own daily life, and the anthropocentric ranking of plants as inferior to animals. This term was first coined by Wondersley and Schlusser, but actually people who have been discussing kind of a dearth of botanical education for almost a century. We now tend to steer clear of plant blindness as a phrase. There's a really fantastic paper by Catherine Parsley on discourse around disability metaphors and language. So we tend to refer to plant unawareness or plant awareness now when we're discussing these concepts. So I'm really grateful for our president for such a fantastic presentation earlier that actually really elegantly illustrated how botany and interdisciplinary research is really valuable. These icons represent various industries and kind of social and cultural institutions, and our story of the Arakacea was really fantastic because what it actually did is it linked historic communities of people travelling, archaeology, and then plant communities together. So a really interesting narrative of how, through an understanding of plants and people, we can piece together their movements and how that relates to the distribution and ecology of plants that we see today. When we are discussing botanical education, we are really interested in how we can form links between different industries and different disciplines. So we might be thinking about how can research institutions look to develop sustainable fuels through the enhancement of crop products, or perhaps production of biofuels from algae, sustainable building materials, or maybe even the retrofitting of cities for climate resilience, or sustainable urban drainage systems for future flooding scenarios. But what many of us in higher education and education more broadly have noticed over the past couple of decades is that there's been a gradual erosion of the provision of field skills and also more general whole plant biology teaching. And what we're really concerned about is, as these skills are lost, that reduces our capacity for collaboration and integration of plant solutions to meet kind of the future challenges of the 21st century: climate change, habitat destruction, food insecurity, water quality. And what we're particularly concerned about is that with fewer botany teaching and botanists being trained, that actually our voices will not necessarily be heard within various industries, and there's the potential for botanical expertise to drop off from these fields. So what this really does is it highlights the urgency to educate future generations in botany and plant science. This is a really fantastic paper by Prezis, and they link all 17 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to plant science and botany. So it might be about sustainable agriculture as a context of social and economic equity, the cultivation of energy from plants, preservation of life below water through terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem connectivity, plants as the hydrological cycle, so on and so forth. And what we realised is that actually a sustainable future will really only be achieved with a holistic understanding of plants across disciplines and taking in those multiple dimensions and stories that plants and plant people have. This was the context of our 2022 Botanical Education Extension paper, and in here we call for a wider scope of pedagogical methods for enhancing plant ID skills, particularly for developing the appreciation of values of different demographics and disciplines. Botanical University is just one such opportunity that we have. So let's dive a little bit deeper into it. So what is BUC? What is Botanical University Challenge? It's an exciting way to celebrate plants and plant-aware students. It brings together students in a really fun, informal, friendly annual contest with both online and live finals. It connects institutions offering plant-related courses in the UK and Ireland, and it celebrates the diversity of ways that we can be fascinated by plants. Fantastically, we've had our first team already sign up to Botanical University Challenge 2024, and that's University of Galway. So we're really excited to welcome them back. So what have we achieved in the last couple of years? So we have the launch of The Times. That is a student-led newsletter that connects the community of plant-aware students that we have. Within this, we feature various different stories. So recently we've had Dr. Chris Thorogood talking about his work with parasitic Rafflesia, but we also have perspectives with different botanists and also botanists working within industry. So we've had Dr. John Warren, we've had Sandy Knapp, we've had all sorts of fantastic botanists giving a brief overview of their research interests. But we also focus on botanists within industry. So Dr. Alex Prendergast working for Natural England on some of the plant restoration projects, and all of these are students who have come through or are connected to BUC in some way. So visibility and highlighting the myriad of different botanical careers that there are. This year we held our first student botany contest. Student Botany Festival at the University of Nottingham. We had 60 students attend, many of those from our institutions, along with our live finals. We had almost a quarter of those presented some of their work through student posters. And included in this, we had various plant walks, careers workshops. We had some fantastic lectures on plant root signalling, and a whole suite of other interesting botanical engagement activities as well. In terms of field skills, after almost a decade of contests, we've had 31 institutions that have engaged with BUC. These are not just universities, but there are also other higher education institutions. So RHS Wisley has housed teams that have been supported as well. So it's not just within academia, but also within industry as well that we're seeing representation. In 2023, we had our largest ever year with 25 universities and institutions across Britain and the Republic of Ireland competing. And over our lifetime, we've had over 425 students engaged with BUC. And to put that in context, that's almost the same number of students as there have been plant biology and plant science graduates in the last decade. So it's a really significant proportion of those that are plant aware within the UK. And online, we have a really fantastic viewership. So our live streams of the contest have attracted over 9,000 viewers. And interestingly, it's not just the UK. We've had a large proportion from the US and India as well. So a really global reach. We've got our dates for BUC 2024 here, the 14th, 21st and 28th of February, with our semi-finals and live finals on the 28th of August. Please do follow us on social media. We've got Twitter, we've got Instagram, and you can also contact us directly on the web links that are through here as well. So you can check out our website where we have all of the times and other information. So field skills in the quiz. There are various plant identification skills in the quiz, but actually it's much broader just than plant identification. We include plant ID, taxonomy, genetics and evolution, ethnobotany, plant uses, plant health, horticulture, agriculture and forestry, biodiversity and conservation. So we're really talking cells all the way to communities. Some of those questions do indeed involve plant identification. So here you can see Sapora annua. And then here we have a screenshot from one of our live contests. And so we have our fantastic students with their banners. We know that also many students will prepare plant identification for BUC. So this might be revising habitat classifications, might be revising their moss, lichen or plant identification. Field skills at the Botany Festival. as I said, 2023 we had the first Student Botany Festival at the University of Nottingham. Um, we had a BSBI walk, so we had local recorders, we had experts, we had various fiscal level 5 botanists such as Dr. M, and we surveyed a local nature reserve, found all sorts of interesting species. I believe James Harding Morris has the final list, I can't remember off the top of my head, but all sorts of fantastic hybrids and whatnot. It also included a slightly drunken late night poesy masterclass, which you can see here with Dr. M and the University of Galway team. I'm sure that was great fun. Flowering plant families in the dark as well. And then also we had plant swaps, an opportunity to teach students about horticulture and propagation methods, but also introduce some plant families that they might not be so familiar with over here in the UK. For 2024, we're really excited to be hosted by the University of Oxford and the Oxford Botanic Gardens. So here we have the University of Oxford team, our winners from 2023, with Professor John Warren, Dr. Jonathan Mitchley, and then Dr. Chris Thorogood are here. So it's going to be a really exciting opportunity. And we've got loads of field-based skills. So this is our provisional program. This will eventually be confirmed, but so far we're currently looking at some floral formulae workshops. We're also going to be having a conifer identification workshop over at the Arboretum, herbarium tours. There's going to be a mini fest with the BSBI, so really excellent upskilling for students who want to participate. And then finally, we've got a botanical illustration workshop with Dr. Chris Thorogood. It was, of course, Dr. Chris Thorogood who illustrated the art on the plant atlas, so really fantastic opportunity, and I think all of these are going to be incredibly popular, and I think a bit spoilt for choice really. So Buck and Field Skills, what's the future? Buck will certainly be continuing online and live. We find that format works really well. We get a really good engagement with a number of teams through to hosting at the final at the Botany conference. That is something that we're still trying to secure longevity for. So if we can diversify our funding sources, that would be really excellent. We'd like to do more smaller Buck events, so Buck botany camps and roadshows where more students can engage, but also more local so they don't have to cover those travel fees. Would anyone be interested in being a Vice County tutor or mentor, engaging with their local higher education institution and teaching students and teams there? We really welcome any ideas. If you have anything that you'd like to contribute, please email us at botanicaluniversitychallenge@gmail.com. A big thank you to all of our funders and supporters, particularly Gatsby, New Phytologist, Oxford Botanic Gardens and the Countryside Job Service, Botanical Society and Field Studies Councils who have been fantastic champions of us. Then our whole host of other funders we haven't got time to go through here, but we're incredibly grateful for. If you have ideas for attracting potential funders or funding, please do contact us. Really keen to get your opinions across. And then thank you very much for listening. If you've got any questions, again, please do contact us. We're really excited to hear from all of you. And thank you very much for listening to me.